this one, I've been excited for this one for a while. I think Soldier is a really strong player, one I'm always delighted to see. And Lucas is a really good matchup for him, I think. I think both players are pretty close in skill. Lucas maybe slightly below, but just a bit in terms of like the overall results they have. And then of course Lucas, on the other hand, being one of the best treaty players in the world, I believe the official line is that he's the second best treaty player in the world after Conqueror or Dictator, and that makes
Yes,
him very formidable.
almost indisputed, the second best treaty player, and also not bad at supremacy by any means. Definitely taken a lot of games off of some very notable players in previous tournaments, like Sampu and Haza. And Soldier himself, it's been around forever, since like 2005. Also known for taking games off of players that people have always kind of considered maybe better than himself and have favored more, or have been favored against him in tournaments, sorry. So, should be a pretty good match.
Yeah.
Let me just check the resources again real quick. They look pretty fair this time, I think.
Yeah, it looks like Soldier's hunts are just a little far, but I think it's reasonable for the map. So both players going out. One thing to note is that Lucas is already starting off with, I guess, the strong scouting pattern as India is to go look immediately for those two yaks in the middle of the map. He's also looking on this side. Not quite going to find the two yaks that Soldier just found now, but he's in position to get a couple if he wanted to. The other thing, of course, are these very powerful 90 wood treasures. There's a 90 wood treasure there, and then there's an 85 wood treasure, usually hiding somewhere close by, looks like right here. Both of these are very powerful treasures that both players are going to be looking to get in Age 1.
Mm-hmm. And before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let me just introduce the civs.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So at the top of the map, we have Lucas playing as the Green Indians. And in the south side of the map, we have Soldier playing the blue French player. And I just wanted to point out that this is actually a bit of a comfort matchup for Soldier, I think. He's played France versus India in almost every tournament, I believe. He doesn't normally play a lot of France, but he definitely likes to play France against India. And typically he'll do some sort of like infantry defense into fortress and then do the typical 2 Falc push. So this is a bit more standard Soldier than I think we're used to seeing. I think both of these players are a little bit more of unorthodox or non-standard players, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see how Lucas chooses to play this. I think I know how Soldier will play it.
Yeah. So yeah, both players have an orthodox style, but they come from different places. I would say Soldier, he's been around in the community forever, right? He was one of the old pros playing back in 2006 even, playing back in Age of Mythology days as well. So he hasn't really changed his style too much from what was meta then. So you'll see him start like Barracks as Germany or like go like these very like colonial style games, and that's not something that you see too much today in the current meta, and that makes him a little bit unorthodox in his style. Lucas, on the other hand, the main thing behind him is that he is a very strong treaty player and does a lot of treaty play, and that gives him a little bit of a different dynamic from a lot of players of similar skill level. So it's very interesting to watch, for example, his cannon or cannon control, or just artillery control in general, because you'll see him be a lot more careful with how he's controlling his cannons compared to the supremacy players of equivalent rank.
Mm-hmm. And I think also one advantage Lucas has over a lot of supremacy players, because of those long treaty games, sometimes go like even into the 2-hour mark on occasion. You know, like a best of 5 series in supremacy can sometimes last not even 2 hours. So depending on how long this series goes, it's possible Lucas will be, all good to go over the entire series, while Soldier might be experiencing some sort of mental fatigue. So we'll have to see how that plays out moving out into the later games.
It's a great point you bring up, because I think we were seeing that a little bit at the end of AzAMC versus IAmTurk. We saw IAmTurk lose just a few villagers in cases where, if it had been game 1, he probably wouldn't have made these slight mistakes. Especially in a best of 5, even more so in a best of 7 or best of 9, the mental fatigue and physical fatigue that players will experience can take a huge toll, especially if the games that they've been playing go a little bit long. And yeah, Lucas coming in with an aggro fort, coming pretty much in the middle of the map, maybe not quite as aggressive as it could possibly be, but still a fairly aggressive aggro fort. What do you think that
and he's
this is an indicator of? Yeah.
well, seeing as how he sent 3 more villagers forward to help construct that Agra fort, I think we are probably going to see something a little bit aggressive. He did place the Agra fort a little bit late, around 3:30. It's about 20 to 30 seconds later than is ideal for India. So Soldier going to have more of the standard age of time. Probably going to be a little bit. He's going to have a little bit more time to set up that defense and sort of identify what Lucas is doing. I don't know if he's seen the Agra fort yet. He's just kind of stealthing around Lucas's base, trying to find out what he can. But yeah, it might not be something super aggressive either. We do see Lucas is actually going for a trading post as well, so he could opt to do something maybe a little bit slower, like a consulate rush or something, which is of course not exactly slow, but not up in your face by like 5 minutes sort of thing.
Right, certainly not like a 10-10 rush coming in from Lucas right now, but still something fairly aggressive. I think one thing that might be worth noting is, so Soldier, for a moment there, he hadn't seen this wood treasure up on this side of the map, but he just did not see it, and he has started to hunt it, and that's going to be great for him. Getting that, of course, all civilizations like wood, and France is no exception to that, and 85 wood, or 90 wood at this, I think it might be, it's going to help him out a lot. Lucas, on the other hand, got an interesting Agra placement in that he has access to this 150 coin treasure almost for free if he really wanted to take it. He could just send his Agra onto the tigers and then pick it up with a villager if he notices and desires it. It's a little bit risky if Soldier is going very aggressive that he would lose a little bit of hit points off the Agra, but I think it might be worth going for.
Mm-hmm. Definitely going to be very nice for him. And I just want to point out, Soldier is actually going for a stable start into this matchup, which might have something to do with the fact that he saw how late Lucas had aged, and so he knows that he has a bit more time than he would have, and so he doesn't necessarily need to start with the infantry to hold off any sort of sepoy pressure, and he's just looking to train some hussars and apply raids and sort of keep Lucas tied up in his own base that way. So he's forced to defend his villagers. Can't really think about being too aggressive. So we do with the first 4 hussar out on the map, going to go all the way around the Agra fort, probably looking for raids. And we'll see, yes, he does choose to drop a Rax on the 700 wood. And it doesn't look like Lucas is planning on doing anything too aggressive either. Just setting the wood trickle first, building that consulate, sending for your export, likely going to grab the Ottoman vills. So this is definitely going to be sort of a slower style game from India, which we've been seeing a little bit more of lately. I feel like people have been starting to do the Eco India or the FF style India a little bit more than the Rush style India. So
Yeah,
I'm interested to see how that plays out in this matchup.
It's nice to see because I think India might be a little bit underexplored because they used to be known for their rushes, especially their 10-10 or even their consulate rush. But they do have a lot of different viable strategies in a lot of different ways. Some aggression going down here. I think that the Soldier could win this if he really committed to it, but I don't know if he wanted to take this fight too much. It looks like he's going to take one sepoy down. He lost a lot of hit points on both 2 of the hussars, but minimum coming out, or the sentries that is, for Lucas, and that's going to make Soldier have to pull off. He has to be careful not to lose too much hit points off of these hussars. One of these hussars is already fairly low, and it effectively becomes useless in later stages of the game.
Yeah, sepoy definitely something you never want to fight with cavalry. It's always a risk. They're just so tanky and do so much damage to hussars. And so Soldier not getting the best end of that trade. Likely not going to have a whole lot of raid pressure to apply anymore. But does it really matter? I think he might have already bought the time he needed. 700 coins coming in now. He's got almost enough food. He's got way more than enough food to click up.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, he's got almost 2,000 food. So he's going to be hitting Fortress pretty comfortably. And he's got that nice gold mine in base, so he'll not be short of coin in early Fortress either. And I'd say that this is looking like a pretty good situation for Soldier overall, actually.
Yeah, I noticed he did make a few crossbowmen just in case there was going to be an issue with any pressure coming in, but looks like there really isn't any pressure that's being planned for Lucas at all. I think that he'll be going into H3 a little bit mismacroed, but still in a comfortable position, whereas Lucas, meanwhile, hasn't quite or at least we don't quite see as careful of a plan out from him. It looks like he is going for an age up himself, although it is worth noting that he is also, just like Soldier, a little bit mismacroed in that. I am going to turn you down a little bit while you talk.
Hello, Gray. Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you need to fix the sound.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Because currently, Mitoe is much higher than Duck, and we can't really hear both.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Thank you for the notification, B-Winner. And I'm going to be sending... Wait.
Okay, I let you finish.
Yep.
Have fun.
Thank you. Sorry about that, everybody. I'll be turning Mitoe down a bunch right now. Hopefully the sound will be a lot better. So going back into the game, Lucas is getting his age up, going. We do see Soldier losing the last couple of his Hussars. He does have one left, but he's coming out now with Falconet push as well as some crossbow and musketeers. So this is his opportunity to take down the aggro before Lucas is really prepared to deal with this.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's really any way that Lucas is going to be able to deal with this. Typically, India doesn't deal with Falconets very well until they can get their siege elephants in, and siege elephants, as a shipment that costs resources, takes 60 seconds to send, on top of him not being fortress yet. So Agrafort will probably go down pretty comfortably for Soldier, sort of getting back a little bit more control over the middle portion of the map. And we'll have to see how Lucas chooses to respond to this. He is going up with the Taj Mahal, which does give him the ability to cease fire for 15 seconds. I wonder if that could be a little bit indicative of a plan to go industrial as well. He does have over 2,000 food and almost enough gold, and he will have the crates help him go up to industrial. So we might be seeing the sort of Sampu popularized Seaboy Urumi style play coming out from him in a moment here. Likely to be dropping that Wonder any second now. So
yeah, the Wonder going down just now, or at least the foundation is. And he's going to be putting a lot of villagers onto this to make sure he can get in up to age 4 safely. Soldier has put on some pressure. He has taken down the Agra, and there's still some pressure going down on Lucas's villagers. But yeah, Soldier, he's got some units available, but I don't know if he's going to be able to actually do anything useful or not. You might have to be a bit careful about this Arumi strategy, or this industrial strategy, really, that Lucas is going for. You can see Lucas wants this Wonder to go up so much, he's putting like 20 villagers on it.
Yeah, definitely more villagers than is strictly possible to put on a Wonder. But yeah, he's Soldier maybe sort of feeling that he is on a bit of a clock here. He hasn't seen any units from Lucas, so he's got to be wondering what's up. And age up will be coming through in the next 20 seconds or so, and that'll signal serious go time for Soldier. Or some serious rethinking of his strategy, since you don't want to be stuck in the Indian base too long when there could be 10 Urumi and a Mansabdar popping out on your TC, or popping out of the TC onto your army at any moment. Consulate does go down, maybe a house or two going to go down as well. 2 Mahouts popping out, just going to be content to escape that army for now. And looks like Soldier's going to just try to take down this town center. Hopefully, or sort of maybe planning to stop the Urumi from popping out before they even get the chance to. But this is very risky. There is ceasefire coming through. Mahouts are going to try and get on top of those Falconets, maybe try and just get them out of the picture. And Urumi popping out, the 7 Urumi actually, so he sent them before he aged up, anticipating the sort of timing. And there's only a few seconds left of the ceasefire. Falconets are definitely down. We'll have to see if the rest of the army gets caught.
Yeah, it seemed like he was just willing to give those Falconets up, which is probably the right decision. It doesn't actually do much against a lot of these units anyway. Soldier split up his units a little bit, but I think there's a lot of Urumi. The roots are on the skirmishers, which is where they want to be. We've got big coming, yeah.
Yes, and that's going to help clean up these Mahouts and Urumi really well. They typically don't do very well against units like Cuirassiers, so that's a really nice pickup for Soldier. Can he get the town center down before Lucas can send another batch of Urumi, though? He does have a shipment available right now. Does not have the food to actually queue up that Urumi shipment. So this is actually a bit of a rough spot for Lucas at the moment. And Soldier's actually identified that he needs to look for the vills. He's so close to finding all the vills on those trees there, but just barely missing it.
Okay, but still getting a good batch of vills right there. Urumi out right now. I think that Soldier might just have enough units to clean up the Urumi, as long as he makes sure that he's only dealing with one batch of Urumi at a time.
Yeah, and it looks like he is going to choose to fight it. And you know, he kind of has to fight this. Urumi, of course, are very strong units. You cannot train them, you can only receive them from shipments. But as everyone knows, the larger in numbers they get, the harder it is to deal with them. So it's very important that he's trading off units for these Urumi. If Lucas ever manages to get sort of a critical mass of Urumi, it could be almost impossible to kill that army. But yeah, he does manage to clean it up pretty easily. Even Halberdier is coming in now for Soldier, just to provide some extra siege onto those buildings. But actually no, it looks like he's going to choose to back off. Yeah, but he's identified where some of the villagers are, and he's going to apply some more pressure over there. There is another Urbi shipment on the way. It just popped out of the castle. Going to catch a couple of lagoons, but nothing too serious there.
Okay, I think another batch of Rumi came out, but actually Soldier is on top of this one too. But yeah, actually, there's maybe not so many units for Soldier in this case, and he might not be able to get these Rumi down. So,
well, another batch of Cuirassiers coming in though, yeah. That should help.
Yeah, Lucas now just sent another batch of Rumi. He's on the 9 infinite Rumi from now on, pretty much. If he can ever get really like 2 of those batches out, it can be a lot more difficult for Soldier to deal with these. And so he's making a good effort here, just keeping that making sure that it's never going to get out of control. He's okay taking these inefficient trades too. I don't know if any of these trades are particularly efficient, but even if they were, he's okay with doing that, simply because he has a better economy and he knows that it's better to take an inefficient trade now than to lose the game later on.
Mm-hmm. And Lucas really needs to get some sort of other military buildings up. He doesn't. Another Urmi shipment popping. Soldier's just going to back away from that. But yeah, Lucas is sitting on a lot of resources. He could be training a lot of like Sepoy or Gurkha to go along with these Urmi, but he just doesn't have the production facilities up yet. And yeah, his resources are starting to run out. You know, he's on the last few animals here over by this castle. The rest of his hunts are out in front of his base, sort of next to the second town center that Soldier has constructed in the middle of the map here. But interestingly enough, Soldier is building an artillery foundry on the left side here as well.
I think that what he's got going for him right now is pretty good, right? He's got a number of cuirassiers. He's got a pretty good massive dragoons. Maybe not too many skirmishers, but it's good enough. The artillery foundry, I don't know if he has plans with it. It looks like he is queuing up 1 falconet. I'm not exactly opposed to it, but I suppose it's I would describe myself as fairly indifferent to the choice to train falconets. Nice minor pickup here.
I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I guess one thing the falconets will do for him is give him some of the extra siege from a distance, so he doesn't have to siege right underneath that shipment point with the danger of Urmi popping out at any moment. But you have to wonder if the decision to train falconets here was potentially giving Lucas too much time. He did manage to get a couple production facilities up. I don't believe a second Urmi shipment is on the way, but there will be another one soon. You know, the Rax is probably going to go down pretty easily, but if Lucas is given a lot more time, or sorry, much more time here, he could potentially have up to 20 Urumi stacked up and ready to go, and that could be something that's very difficult for Soldier to deal with moving forward in this game.
Yeah, I think another Urumi batch is on the way right now, and it looks like we had a Moot Lancer in production. I don't know if Lucas was able to get a batch of more than 1 of those out. Actually, Soldier having some units split off on this right side of the map, and that's not great for him because this is exactly the kind of fight that Lucas wants to be taking right now before his next batch of Ruby comes. Still, Soldier is getting a lot of nice raids down as well. The economic population is 57 to 32, and Soldier can afford to take these bad trades. You can't take too many of them, but you can certainly take a few.
Yeah, a little bit of an intention with the infantry, but again, it doesn't really matter that much as long as he can maintain that economic advantage and just, as you said, just continue trading units. But Urmi coming in from the backside, maybe not going to do a lot against this Cuirassier Falk combination. Siege Elephant coming out now finally from the castle though, going to apply some pressure on those Falks, but is easily going to get cleaned up by the Cuirassiers, it looks like. So with Falks, one Falk will go down. There's still 2 Falks remaining. Castle finally goes down, and this might be the beginning of the end for Lucas here. He doesn't have any resources left really aside from the one gold mine in his base and the trees in the back of his base, and yeah, he realizes that he's not really going to have a lot of stuff moving forward in this game and calls it.
So I was a bit mistaken about the Falconets. I think that was actually a pretty good decision on Soldier's part. I didn't quite realize how well they would do against Arumi, but they were taking down a lot of Arumi by themselves. It was nice to see. The Cuirassiers, what I was noticing is that when they fight against the Arumi, they eventually win, but it takes so long. It seems like most of their damage is done through splash damage rather than through direct damage, just from hand attacks. And Arumi are so tanky that it takes forever to actually kill them. Whereas these Falconets were just picking Urumi off with every shot. So good effort by Soldier there. I think Lucas had an interesting or a strong build, but he wasn't quite able to get the number of Urumi out that he ever needed to make it work.
Yeah, Lucas trying to go for the Urumi cheese. Unfortunately, just a little bit too slow. It might have been part of his decision, or sorry, it might have been a result of his decision to go for the two very economic shipments in early colonial. He went for the wood trickle and 300 export for the Ottoman villagers. Maybe slowed down his age up time just a little bit too much, and so by the time he reached industrial, Soldier is already inside his base, killing his villas and houses and all that sort of stuff. And he just didn't really ever have the opportunity to stabilize quite as quickly as he needed to.
But he'll still have plenty of opportunities to win. There's still at least 2 more games in this series, and it is a full best of 5. And I think that Lucas, he's shown himself to be a very strong player. I think it wasn't a complete blowout in that game. I think he was just a bit short of making the build work. Even if it didn't look that close, I think that it could have gone very much in his favor with just a little bit of different timings. So Soldier is on the pick right now. He does leave 1-0, and he will be picking first, and Lucas will counter pick. It looks like the map they've set is Gran Chaco.
I'm just going to go out a limb here, and I'm going to say that the matchup we're going to see is probably British versus Aztec, just because I know that Soldier doesn't play a lot of non-TP civs aside from Brit, so it'll probably be the civ he'll want to pick here. And we know that Aztec is one of Lucas's comfort civs, and Aztec typically, they do all right versus British, especially on a map like Gran Chaco that's pretty open and it's sort of hard to defend the resources a little bit. Soldier picking Aztec. Interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I was going to agree that I was expecting Soldier to pick the British. On a no TP map, I think there's you're a little bit limited in your options, and a Soldier is a British player. British are strong on no TP maps, and so it was kind of the expected pick. But Aztec, they're also a civ that works on a no TP map. I don't know how familiar Soldier is with this civ, but I think that he'll be able to do some good stuff with it.
Yeah, he's definitely not unfamiliar with Aztec. Soldier's played pretty much all civs at some point in his career. He's been playing since 2005. So, they're maybe not one of the civs he's most comfortable with, but he's definitely not incompetent with them. So, it's an interesting pick. I like it. It's kind of harder to counter than British for sure. And we'll have to see what Lucas's goes for.
Yeah, I was expecting the mirror.
Aztec mirror. All right.
So this
is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know too much about this matchup. I've watched a few games in this matchup, but I've noticed that it often will just be Coyote runners, and whoever ends up having more Coyote runners wins the game at some point. They'll just both take an engagement, and then it'll end after that. But it can be an interesting matchup too. There can be a lot of different dynamics, a lot of different timings that you have to be very careful about. They're both Aztecs have so many early H2 shipments, and each of those early H2 shipments is so dangerous that you have to be very careful about how you're timing them, and very small swings in the number of units that are out on the field can turn the game around.
Mm-hmm. It is usually, as you say, like one of those matchups that turns into this colonial slugfest with Coyote runners and Pumas, and just a bare minimum number of maces you need to pick off the Pumas.
Right.
Before we get into it too much, let's just check the resources real quick. It looks like Lucas might be at a slight disadvantage for hunts.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3.
Mm,
Yeah.
there's like he has like the same number of hunts next to his town center, but he's like missing a hunt on his half of the map. But at the same time, his gold mines are better than soldiers, so it's kind of hard to say.
Oh yeah, actually, Soldier is looks like he's basically missing a mine in this one, and so yeah, it's a trade of slightly better hunts versus a slightly worse mine situation. Um, yeah, we could call.
I feel like this is probably playable.
Yeah, I think this is one of the maps that Garya would say, no, this is fine, and you don't need to make a rehost on it. So
Um, yeah. So anyway, at the top side of the map here, we have Lucas, the undisputed second best treaty player in the world, now trying his hand at supremacy with the Aztecs. And in the south side of the map, also playing the Aztecs, we have IAmSoldieR, the longtime favorite of many people since his debut in I don't know 2007. I think was the first time he played any sort of competitive game. But yeah, I'm excited. But so one thing I did want to say is last time that we saw Lucas play Aztec in the placement stage on this map, he actually went for a fast fortress style of Aztec play,
oh really?
and that is a style of play that you can do in the mirror, and I'd be interested to see if he actually chooses to go for it here because it's just a little bit more obscure than the standard style of play, but it is also very hard to play against if you don't see it coming. So we'll have to see if he chooses to pull out some more cheese in the second game.
I do know that I guess maybe about a year ago there was this talk about this extremely powerful Aztec fast industrial build. I don't know if it ever really came into the prominence that people might have been expecting, but it did get some notoriety there, and it definitely showed that Aztec have very strong non-colonial styles that are available to them. A little bit of a contention here over the llamas. Soldier had taken 2 llamas and was moving them back to his base, but Lucas was there and ended up getting 4 for himself.
Yes, and he does already have 4 back at his base.
Oh wow, okay, so
So
that's
so
really good.
he actually managed to collect all of the llamas. So yeah, that is quite good for him. He is going to take the time to escort those back to his base, though, which is maybe going to give Soldier a little bit more time to compensate with some treasures. Picking up 100 XP on the top side is going to be very nice for Aztec.
Soldiers explored
But,
named I miss Cav. Um, but
I miss Cav. For those of you who maybe don't play AoE as much or don't play Aztec as much, Aztec actually don't technically have a cav unit. All of their units are infantry units with some sort of substitutes for the cavalry and ranged cavalry units and artillery units. In this case, the Coyote Runner being the Aztec equivalent of a cavalry unit. So pretty humorous name there for
there's actually
Soldier.
a bit of I would describe it as a slight design mistake on Ensemble's part when they were designing the War Chief civs to bother with this entire we don't have cavalry but we have infantry that basically act like cavalry. It leads to all this confusion about what cavalry is and what ranged infantry is and what you mean when you actually say light infantry. Because light infantry used to just be like ranged infantry, like skirmishers, but non-musketeer type units, and then coyote runners ended up becoming light infantry, and now everybody is just confused for all eternity about it. Soldier losing a couple of his nature converted guardians over to this treasure, but yeah, picking up a native scout for it, and yeah, Lucas coming in with this 3 villagers going forward.
So we're likely not going to see the FF or FI style play out of Lucas. But interestingly enough, Soldier is not going for a forward base, just dropping a war hut at home. So we could actually maybe see something a little bit different out of Soldier this time.
Yeah, we do see a bit of what we saw last game, where Lucas is going for the forward base and Soldier is going for the base at home, even though the matchup is different. I'm not exactly sure what either player has completely in mind. I know it's definitely more typical for Aztecs if they're going for, or at least in the Aztec mirror, to go for forward base themselves. Looks like Soldier started off with 3 warrior priests to Lucas's 700 wood. So that already indicates a little bit about the divergence in builds that they're going for. Do you know too much about what each one of these options means?
So Soldier's just kind of doing like a slower style of Aztec. In the past, and we know Soldier's an older school style player, so this is maybe a more common build when he was playing a lot in like a few years ago and stuff like that. But in the past, you would send three warrior priests first. Pretty much every game with Aztec was the standard way to play them. And the reason you do that is because each warrior priest is basically the equivalent of one trading post on that fire pit. So even though you have to spend one shipment to get those three warrior priests, it will pay off in the long term. It's just the one caveat to that is you have to sacrifice a little bit of map control to sort of get that going in the mirror here. So looks like one villager might go down for Soldier. It's gonna be close.
Ooh,
and she does actually manage to escape, so...
Yeah, really close for Soldier, and he's actually going to get a pick on these coyotes as well. Lucas, unfortunately, having right between this house and these sets of trees, meaning that he's not able to get the perfect timing there. Lucas, though, coming in with another 5 coyote runners and 10 maces, and Soldier's going to be having to take this fight here. I think he can... It looks like he might be going for the dance to make some of those Minutemen, the Aztec equivalent of the Minutemen.
Warriors.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be a key point in the game. If Soldier manages to defend this without losing too many villagers or warrior priests, he'll be in a pretty good position. But at the same time, Lucas could just keep him in his town center the entire game, unable to gather, and that could spell like disaster for Soldier here. He's not able to dance for warriors anymore at this point. Lucas has kind of forced him to garrison those warrior priests out of fear of losing them, and he's not going to have any more units coming from this war hut just because of this idle time here. He is going to have a unit shipment coming in pretty soon, probably, but is it going to be enough? It's like one warrior priest will go down. 10 mace coming out for Soldier here, but he doesn't have any anti-cav, and Lucas has quite a few coyote runners.
Yeah, unfortunately, the 700 wood shipment out of Soldier might have been a bit too greedy. It seems like Lucas was already in his base, maybe shortly after the 700 wood came in, but he hasn't really been able to mass up the number of units outside of the original 4 coyote runners, where he got a nice pick off on Lucas's units. It seems like he hasn't really been able to mount a real defense after that. Unfortunately, these warriors that you can summon from the dance don't really accomplish... I mean, they accomplish a bit, but you have to be very careful about them, because you're exposing your warrior priest and your villagers when you make them.
Mm-hmm. And we can see this is... We can see that this is kind of like why the 3 warrior priest build has sort of fallen out of favor in competitive play, is just because it opens up the door for your opponent to be more aggressive when Aztec is normally a really aggressive civ themselves, and so especially in the mirror that means that you sacrifice so much time, and it's really cost Soldier a lot here. He's got like virtually no hunts he can gather safely under his town center. Already lost to War Hut. The War Hut he constructed second is almost down already. He hasn't been able to gather for so long.
Soldier sending 5 villagers as his next card. I think he's just so starved on villagers that he needs to be able to add a few more. Lucas, at least for Soldier's benefit, Lucas has shipped 3 unit cards in a row, and eventually he will run out of them. So, Soldier, he's having trouble making an army. He's having trouble getting something together, but it's possible that if he's able to hold on for just a little bit longer, he won't be in a ton of trouble. He'll be able to stabilize a little bit because Lucas will run out of unit cards to send, and then from there he might be able to come back onto the map a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Lucas has exhausted most of his unit shipments. All he really has left is the 5 coyote runner shipment, whereas Soldier still has access to quite a few more shipments, and Soldier actually still has a slight economic lead despite how many villagers he's been losing and despite all the idle time. So he's definitely not dead yet.
Yeah, a couple more villagers going down for Soldier. I think that will be what roughly evens out the villager count. Soldier did have to send 5 villagers to make this even for him. And even though it looked at the time like kind of amusing, the idea of like having units under your TC and then sending 5 villagers in, it probably worked out for the best for Soldier because he was running so far down on the number of villagers just to be able to maintain this defense that he kind of needed that to come back in. 5 coyote runners coming in for Lucas, and this might actually be a great timing for them to be there. We can see Soldier already moved out some of his villagers to try to hunt, but now there's coyote runners in his base, and Soldier has to garrison again. And if he's not careful, he could lose all of these villagers up here.
Yeah, but he can't really afford to bring those villagers back either because he really needs the resources to get units out. And he does have a bit of gold. He could potentially train some Puma Spearmen here, but the warhead's going to go down pretty quickly. It looks like.
Yeah, he'll
it does go down.
Spend a while making a new one, losing another villager. I think just one villager. Yeah. Still not too great for him. He does have the Puma Spearman shipment available if he wants to. I don't know if he's already sent it or if he has another card coming. Oh yeah, and there are the Puma Spearmen. That's why he moved these maces back in. Pretty good timing, but not getting the cash he really wanted to. I think he was trying to use the mace to bait, but it didn't really happen. But nonetheless, Lucas is going to be pushed off for a little bit. I mean, that's a lot of coyote runners now, but he won't be able to take the engagement in Soldier's base for a bit. So Soldier's gaining a little bit of the breathing room here.
Does finally get a little bit of a breather for sure, but still struggling to keep that warhead up. So if this warhead does go up, he might be in an all right position. But we have to remember too. Okay, wait, coyote runners coming in. It looks like he might just choose to fight the Puma Spearman, and Soldier just doesn't have enough stuff to really hold this. It looks like.
Yeah, he's going to be losing all of his army again. Maybe, well. Yeah, he got some number of coyote runners. It might have been a cost-effective trade. At least he got his war hut up, and that's some compensation. But there's still, there's a decent number of units in Soldier's base right now, and he has to continuously garrison. He's not gathering a lot of resources right now.
He does have Puma Spearmen in queue right now, so those might buy him just enough time, again, to just hold on a little bit longer once they do pop. But I think he's only going to get 4 of them out. Doesn't have the gold or the food to really train a full batch of 5, and there's still like 12 coyote runners here.
Yeah, another fight for Soldier going down. He's getting some good hits off on these coyote runners. Not too many coyote runners that remain, but yeah, he is able to take down Pumas. But okay, 5 coyote runners of his own. I think he's going to be able to win this trade with the TC Fire and with the War Hut. Maybe it'll be a roughly even one, but nonetheless, Soldier's probably feeling pretty happy about just not having units under his base yet again.
Yeah, it does have a little bit more freedom to gather now. But he's all this idle time has as a result caused him to fall behind in economic unit population despite already using that 5 villager shipment. And we have to remember too that at the beginning of the game, Lucas managed to steal away those 4 llamas, and so he has a total of 8 llamas that are just fattening up, all sitting around almost 300 food right now. Give it another 2 minutes and they'll be almost fully fattened. And, once those are fattened, that's going to be a massive power spike for Lucas.
Yeah, units coming in again for Lucas. He, again, has the Coyote Runner advantage. Nice Coyote Runner pop onto the maces. And now a few warriors coming out as well for Soldier. He's making a lot of use out of these warrior priests, but unfortunately the warrior priest count is never getting up to a great number for him, and it's always very dangerous for him to be dancing. Still, I can't say that was a terrible trade. He has a few Coyote Runners left over. And at least for him, warriors, they don't cost resources, and as a result, any warrior production that he makes is favorable trades for him, which he needs because he's having so much of a hard time gathering resources. Okay, now I think Lucas kind of knows what's up, and he's sending. I'll move over onto the. Forgot to move to the hidden view, but yeah, I think Lucas knows what's up on this, and he's moving Coyote Runners over. But Soldier knows this too. I think he had a native scout around, so he's moving his units over. He does have these 9 maces, 9 maces plus his warrior chief, so he's able to save his villagers a little bit. But that was very scary. I think if Soldier lost these 4 villagers, he wouldn't really be able to come back into this game. Lucas now coming in with another 5 Puma Spearmen, and it's going to be tough for Soldier to contest this.
Yeah, he does have the mace to pick off the Puma, but is it going to be enough? He does pick off 3 Puma, 4 going down now, and it looks like Soldier is actually going to be able to defend this pretty handily, and that's actually a pretty big deal for him. Losing this many units for Lucas does diminish his presence on the map by quite a bit, and it could actually give Soldier the opportunity to push the War Hut in just a moment here, which could change the course of this game. Lucas, of course, has a lot of really exposed villagers as well, and if he's not able to defend those, then this could actually be very good for Soldier.
Yeah, a bit surprising how many mace and how many coyotes actually lived for Soldier on that. Seemed like at the beginning we had coyotes right on the maces, but then looks like only 5 of them, or actually only 4 of them ended up dying. Soldier now, I mean, the economic population disparity has grown to become a problem. Previously it was fairly even, but now Soldier is actually behind by about 7 villagers, or actually 8 now. So even though he has gotten some sort of military advantage, Lucas is looking to be in a decent position still. Lucas, I think he just needs to come up with, restabilize, build a little bit of an army up, and he'll be able to make use of his better economy in the long term. And I would...
Well, he does...
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just talking about how Lucas does have also a little bit more map control. He's been hunting on a little bit further away locations, and I think Soldier might still be, or might still need to be a little bit careful about where he's hunting.
Mm-hmm. You know, we're talking about what an economic advantage Lucas has, but at the same time, we have to remember that Soldier is up to 8 warrior priests now, and he has about as many warrior priests, additional warrior priests, as Lucas has additional villagers. So it does help compensate a little bit. It is going to give him, a much stronger standing army in fights with that war dance, and potentially more shipments coming in later once he does finish maxing out on warrior priests, rather. So, he's not at a total disadvantage for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up. I think that with the warrior priests, of which I think Soldier now has a full 10, the economic population deficit that he has is definitely made up. Lucas coming in now, a lot of coyote runners on both sides, but Lucas does have a few of the Pumas available, as well as some Jaguar Prawn Knights, and not really that many maces to pick them off. This could go, it's really hard to tell. Coyote runners that smash into each other, it's really hard to predict who's going to win. So
yeah, but five more coyotes popping out from the War Hut, and War Dance coming in for Soldier. I think it's very close. I think Soldier is going to come out ahead in this one. If you look at the military population, he's ahead by 15 military population now. So, very good pickup for Soldier, it looks like.
Unfortunately, blue and green coyote runners look pretty close to each other, and so it's really hard to tell who's actually winning that fight until the fight ends. But yeah, Soldier did win that one, with actually a decent number of coyote runners in the end. He sent his Jaguar Prawn Knights of his own as well to clean that up. I think. Yeah, now we can say Lucas is starting to look like he's on a bit of a back foot here. He has widened the economic gap now to 10 villagers, but there is a full set of warrior priests again on that. Yeah, and he is going for the llamas. Probably exactly what he needs to be able to come back and get a little bit of an army spike to take Soldier down now.
Yeah, this is going to be Lucas's time to shine. He does have a second War Hut up, whereas Soldier does not. And with those extra llamas, he's going to be able to pump out a lot of coyote runners here. And we'll see if Soldier gets caught here, which it looks like he is. He is war dancing, but is that going to be enough to win him this fight? 5 more coyote runners up. I think Lucas is going to be cleaning this up pretty handily. And with the hunts running out for Soldier, this is starting to look like it's going to be Lucas's game.
Yeah, I think that.
And Lucas is also sorry to cut you off. Lucas is also starting to dance for warrior priests of his own, so it's going to be closing that gap as well.
Yeah, I think Lucas made a great decision there by deciding that this was the time to eat the llamas. This little bit of economic spike that he's getting out of that is supporting this double war hut production. And now he's able to close this gap with the warrior priests. Looks like it's going to be coming up pretty soon. And so Soldier, I mean, he's taking this fight right here, but he probably doesn't want to be because he's down in the number of kite runners. Okay, now he's evened it out, but Lucas is fine to just pull away. So yeah, now it looks like it's really starting to be commandingly in Lucas's favor. I think for a minute there it was looking scary, but he's taken back control of this game.
So at this point of the game, if you're Soldier, you've got to start thinking about potentially trying to round out your unit composition a little bit more.
Yeah.
And as I say that, he does decide to put a few Vils on gold, so it looks like he is intending to add in a few Puma Spearmen here to try and combat this big Coyote death ball that Lucas is building up in the middle of the map here. And, you know, if he does actually manage to get enough Puma out before they end up fighting, and Lucas does not choose to mix in any other units of his own, you know, Soldier is still has some good chances in this game. Puma do very well against Coyote runners, and we'll have to see. He is almost out of hunts, so it's going to be do or die time soon for Soldier.
Yeah. Maybe possibly worth noting is that Soldier actually hasn't made a market yet this game. Lucas has. He has gotten that hunting dogs tech from the market. And so Lucas's economic lead, which is starting to become actually pretty serious, is even better than the recalculated population might indicate. Soldier as well, he's going to run out of this hunt pretty soon. I mean, he can move onto this hunt over here, but that's going to be really dangerous to take. His other hunt over here is probably safer to go for, but it is closer to where Lucas is positioning most of his army. And in addition, it's going to take a lot of idle time to walk all these villagers over. Probably cost several hundred resources just to make use of that. Soldier going for some raids up on the top side of the map. That might be what he needs to be able to start eking away at Lucas's economic advantage, and will pull Soldier back into good favor.
Yeah, and it looks like Lucas is mixing in some mace, just to make sure that he does have some DPS coming from the backside, so the Coyotes aren't popping up a whole lot. And maybe he's anticipating that there might be a little bit of Puma switch coming out from Soldier, and these mace will definitely help deal with that. 600 coin coming in now twice for Soldier, so just going to be continuing to build up that Puma mass. And yeah, Vils are finally moving out to these hunts. They're going to be a lot more exposed, and I think Soldier senses that now is the time that he has to like try and leave his base. He's trying to apply some pressure onto this warhead over here.
Yeah, I wonder.
And
looks like he wasn't going to reveal the Puma, but now he is, and you know, I could see the desire to pull the Puma back and wait until a big engagement has been taken and then try to force them in. Looks like that isn't going to be happening, but still, this might be an engagement that Lucas wants to take. A lot of Puma out here for Soldier. Not as many Coyote runners, but there are some mace in the back that are able to continuously DPS down Puma. He has to make sure he's getting good focus down. Really hard to tell who's winning this fight as usual, but I think Soldier might be getting the better with just so many Puma Spearmen. But on the other side, on the right side of the map, or on the right side of this fight, Coyote runners coming in. On the left side we see Coyote runners too. I think Soldier knows he's pulling back. He's lost that fight. A little bit surprised himself about how that lane might have gone.
yeah, he does have a big massive Pumas at the back that unfortunately was not able to contribute to that fight. Yeah, I think Lucas knows now that all he has to do is really hunt down the villagers, and that could be the end of the game. So he's coming out at the right side where he knows there's a war hut, he knows that there's a gold mine, and you know, this is kind of Soldier's last chance. He has to defend this war hut and these villagers, and he has to like win this fight convincingly if he wants a chance to win this game. He's down by almost 15 villagers now. Still no market upgrades.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is all kind of Puma coming in, but getting kited pretty well by the mace.
Coming in with
mace big button coming in from Soldier.
Well, okay, I mean, it didn't go too badly for him, I think. It's still really hard to tell. I wish Coyote runners were
Yeah, it was kind of the best possible fight he could have hoped for, actually. So he's not quite out of this yet. He's only down 25 score. Definitely not an insurmountable lead.
Yeah, the villager deficit is now getting pretty substantial. I mean, it is already like it was 15, but now it's almost 20 villagers. And Lucas does have equal number of warrior priests as soldier does, so soldier doesn't have that going for him either. And that might be what keeps this game in Lucas's favor. Oh, the farm, yeah.
But at the same time, you know, when natural resources are starting to run out to this extent, how much more do additional villagers really help you while you have to make that transition to farms? Soldier, you know, he still has like 10 to 12 bills on this hunt up here. He's now moving some bills over to this hunt. So while Lucas is transitioning over to farms and stuff like that, he might have a little bit of an opportunity to try and take back some of the map. But at the same time,
Wow.
two big buttons popping out from that war hut there, gonna force all those villagers away. And yeah, he's up almost 10 military population. Gonna be losing a lot of villagers here. This could be the last fight of the game.
Yeah, huge big buttons out of Lucas that I didn't really, I wasn't really expecting. I don't think Soldier was expecting it either because while he did have the military lead and looked like he was going to be able to win that fight, the big button just completely turned it around. He lost a lot of villagers off that. Now nearly double Lucas. Lucas has nearly double the villager population, and he's probably going to win this fight as well. So the military population does favor him right now. And I don't really see him. Yeah, I don't really see Soldier making it out of this one, especially with reinforcing character runners.
Yeah, reinforcing character is going to be the end of that fight. And yeah, Soldier realizes that's all the fight he can put up this game, and GG.
Okay. Lucas,
And yeah, you know, this is
go ahead,
sorry.
Yeah.
This is all kind of a result of that that decision at the beginning of the game to go for that sort of slower build with the 3 warrior priests and the 700 wood, whereas Lucas just went for the 700 wood and then immediately into unit shipments to apply the early pressure and, you know, gain the economic advantage that way. So. You know, could have worked out for Soldier, but good adaptation for Lucas, or by Lucas rather, to deal with that decision.
Yeah. Lucas tying the score up now 1-1. Unfortunately, I forgot to update the UI, so I'll have to remember that when we go into game 3. But yeah, score is now 1-1. Lucas taking the victory in the Aztec mirror, Soldier winning game 1 in a French versus India game. The next map, is it? I actually don't know. Is it Tibet? Is it Hudson Bay? Maybe I can go find out. Okay, going on to Hudson Bay next. I've been talking about this map a lot this weekend. I think it's a great map, and it tends to lead to some very nice games. We tend to see players being able to play whatever they're comfortable with, not really feeling forced into any particular strategy. And should be, I'm expecting now we'll see Soldier going for one of his more mainline saves of like British or Germans on this map. Lucas, I'm not exactly sure what he's going to be going for, but he is on the pick, so he will be picking this one first.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like it's going to be China from Lucas.
Ooh.
All right, I can respect it. I like the Chinese. They're a fun civilization.
Yeah, I'm a fan of them. I mostly like how good they are at fast fortressing, and I love the Chinese cav, but a lot of good stuff coming on with that civ. Soldier, I could see British being picked into this. I could see Germans.
I could also see Germans.
Yeah.
Both of the civs he's comfortable playing at this point are probably just fine into China. So it's up to him which he chooses to go for. So I think one of the things I like about picking China on this map, in addition to possibly getting sheep if you get the summer spawn, Hudson Bay, there's also plenty of really good treasures to take, and China is one of the stronger civilizations in H1 with that monk and disciple and the critical strikes. So you could potentially easily take a lot of really strong treasures at the beginning and combat dispute a lot of soldiers' treasures, as well as all the treasures are sort of clumped up in the middle of the map. And you kind of are forced to fight for them in a lot of situations. So it's going to be a pretty good advantage for him in Discovery Age.
Definitely, yeah. I think if you happen to be watching Age versus IAmTurk earlier today, we saw IAmTurk actually take about 280 gold worth of treasures in Age 1 alone. So definitely a lot of great treasures on this map, a lot of opportunities to get some really nice picks off on them. And if you're playing a civ like China, which gets access to additional units in Age 1, it's a great opportunity to just get a little bit of an advantage over your opponent in the beginning of the game. So I'll let you do the player intros after we do a quick map check. Let's see. 4, 5, 6.
Resources look more or less fair. There's like one additional gold mine on Lucas's side, sort of. Not quite, but
yeah.
There's a gold mine smack dab in the middle, and then this one is slightly closer to Soldier, so it's pretty close to balanced for the gold mines. Probably not going to come into play until super late in the game anyway.
Yeah.
As for Hunts look pretty fair to me, I think.
Yeah, it seems like it's reasonable. I think the gold mines are roughly 4. Each person has about 4 that are close, and then there's a crescent of 3 that run down the middle of the map. And those are roughly even. One is closer to Lucas, one is closer to the Soldier. Overall, pretty balanced map, and so we'll be going with it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so in the left side of the map here, we do have IAmSoldieR, coming off of a loss in the previous game. He's going to be playing the British against Lucas in the right side of the map here as the Chinese. And it's important to point out here that it was a summer spawn, so there are sheep on the map for Lucas, and he will be quite happy to pick up some of those and have those fattening on his villages. And he is going to be going for the trading post start, which is an option with China. I like it. What do you think about his decision to go for a TP here?
Yeah, I usually don't do it when I play China. I'll usually just go for the more typical 2 village start, chopping 100 wood, of course, to get that to get that second village, and then doing a 3 villager shipment. But I don't have any qualms with trying to do this trading post plus a village start. It always feels bad when you're playing China to only send a 2 villager shipment in H1. It feels kind of bad as any civ when you do that. But getting that trading post early on, trading posts, of course, are so powerful that it's certainly a worthwhile build.
Mm-hmm. It's going to give him a lot more shipments in Colonial or Fortress, depending on which type of build he wants to go for. Interestingly, Soldier is also going for a trading post with British here. So maybe you're going to be looking to be sending something like Virginia Company after that 3 villager shipment. I know that he likes Virginia Company, so we'll see. He is sending 3 vills right now. I would anticipate that he's going to want to send VC after that and maybe do some sort of colonial timing against China. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
does
for
manage
Soldier,
to pick up 100 wood.
Yeah, he gets the 100 wood. Unfortunately, he was trying to creep this treasure down here with the 90 coin, and he had kind of like barely missed one of the not missed, but one of the Guardians moved just a little bit awkwardly for him, and it took him a while to get to it, and then Lucas was already in position to deal with it. So Soldier getting that 100 wood, but Lucas picking up the 90 coin. I think Soldier's okay with that trade. He was able to take down the polar bears just by crack shotting both of them, and had the opportunity to get that 90 coin, but not quite working out.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe he would have liked to try and contest that 90 coin, but unfortunately just missed it. But even if he did manage to try and contest that 90 coin, if he manages to steal it, it's going to be a dead explorer for sure. not a lot you can do to really try and get away from the Chinese monk in that situation. So doesn't get the treasure, but does get to hang on to his explorer. Will get to sort of take advantage of the extra information he'll get from that. So not that bad in the end.
Both players going for the standard age 1 shipments of 3 villagers, and for Lucas it's only going to be 2 villagers in this case, but he does get that trading post as compensation. What do you think that Lucas is going to be going for? I'm pretty sure that he'd be going for an age 3 China play, but what does the trading post say about how he might actually try to go up to age 3?
Well, at the moment it doesn't look like... Well, we have no clue what he's doing really because he hasn't placed the Wonder just yet. But if we take a look at his deck, we see that he doesn't really have a lot of shipments in Colonial, so if he does choose to fight in Colonial, he's going to have some pretty limited options. So, interestingly, he does have 600 coin. I don't know, I'd anticipate just a pretty standard style of China here. He's probably going to go with the 700 coin and try to age up that way. And all the trading post is really going to do with that sort of build is just give him some extra shipments and early fortress.
Okay, fair enough. Soldier sending 1 villager a little bit forward. I'm not sure if that's going to be going for a forward base or if it's just going to be just putting, manor house up for some line of sight and getting some herding done. Really could be doing either. He does have this outpost wagon going forward, so I don't. It will illustrate a little bit about how aggressive he wants to be in this matchup, depending on where he actually ends up putting this. So far, it's going fairly far forward right now. I think it might just go up to this manor house, and then Soldier will drop a barracks or a stable alongside of it. And actually, okay.
does see the units from China there, so he is going to run the outpost away. Looks like he doesn't want to place it in his base, so he's just running away to try and get those Chinese units off him, and maybe he'll try and send it forward later in the game. He is also going to put some bills in the PC to dissuade those units from fighting that. But it is important to note that Soldier did actually choose to send Virginia Company second, so he is going to be playing a little bit slower, sort of more for that timing push rather than the super aggressive play. And we'll have to see if that ends up giving Lucas too much time here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where the outpost wagon went. It had to have gone somewhere.
It's right down here. Looks like he's gonna be sending it the long way around, so it has less of a chance of getting spotted.
Yeah. So yeah, Soldier going for this forward base, and it does look like he does want to put this outpost wagon aggressively too. I don't know how effectively he's going to be able to put down a lot of aggression onto China. I don't think that he will be able to defeat China before they get up to age 3. And so the question isn't going to be, is he going to be able to rush China down before they're able to get to age 3, but rather, how is he going to transition after he puts down whatever pressure he wants to put down. This outpost wagon is actually going pretty far forward, and he's got 5 musketeers as well. But Lucas's first shipment in Colonial is actually the 8 Jucanoes.
It's an interesting decision. Jucanoes, of course, do very well against muskets, and he did see the forward racks, so maybe he was anticipating something a little bit more aggressive. It will slow down his age up a little bit as well as house him, so he might be down a couple villagers. So definitely good for Soldier, a little bit of a misread there by Lucas. But it will also enable him to defend this trading post very easily, so...
That's true, yeah. It does feel a little awkward, like maybe the better order would be 700 coin followed by 8 Jucanoes instead of the current order. But he's going to get some good work out of these 8 Jucanoes. He could probably take down 4, maybe 5 muskets, defend the trading post, and keep Soldier off of his resources for a while. So
yeah, definitely a nice trade for Lucas. I don't think Soldier anticipated those Jucanoes. Looks like he even got a 6th musketeer. So yeah, definitely very good for him. And he's chosen to age with the Confucian Academy, so he will have the skirmishers coming out upon hitting Fortress.
Yeah. Another interesting choice, actually. I've heard players say, never advance to age 3 with the Confucian Academy. It's always the better decision to go with Porcelain Tower. But I've seen people say, yeah, maybe Porcelain Tower is usually better, but you can make good use out of the Confucian Academy. Definitely the 8 Arquebusiers that you get when aging up is very strong, and then the Flying Crows, of course, as well, that you get long term will give you a lot of support. So I can see this build working. It does mean that Lucas is going to be on a bit of a or he's going to be under a little bit of pressure because we can see there's a double. Basically, Soldier has double the villagers that Lucas does right now, and without that porcelain tower to help him out, it's going to be harder for him to catch up.
But at the same time, it doesn't look like Soldier has any intention of following him up to Fortress or anything like that. It looks like he is going to go for some sort of timing push, and those Arquebusiers are definitely going to help him hold that timing. And if he can hold that timing effectively enough, and then push out on the map with his tech advantage, it could be a very difficult situation for Soldier to hold without having to take very inefficient trades. So, TP definitely going to go down. We'll have to see if Soldier decides to go in once he sees Lucas age up. Does scout out the Old Han army, the Disciples, and the Chuko Nu, but still, I don't think he has any indication of the Confucian Academy just yet, so...
Yeah, I think he's pretty in the dark about that. And the Chukanus, or sorry, the Arquebusiers are out. Soldier coming in with these 4 Hussars, but it might not be enough, especially against all the anti-cav that Lucas has started to build up. If he can pick up...
Yeah, Hussar's going to be coming in.
Yeah, decent trade in both directions. I think Soldier is going to have to pull back after these sentries come out, but he's going to get the monk. But he didn't really get what he wanted, which was all the Jukanus, all the Arquebusiers. As long as that army remains stable, it's going to be hard for Soldier long term to win these fights. Especially now.
And overall, I think that trade was pretty good for Lucas. It's going to give him a lot of time to start getting some of those shipments out. Redcoat's coming in now, along with a batch of cav. That's going to signal go time for him, probably. And, it looks like Soldier is actually gathering to age, so he might not have much of an answer to this timing push. And if Lucas is quick enough, he might even be able to deny some of this gold on this outpost here.
Yeah, I think Soldier's going to have to pull back, and I think he maybe wanted to age, but you can see him starting to spend his resources. I think he's starting to say, okay, I can't really afford to age right now. There's a lot of Chinese units coming in and barreling down on me, and I need to be able to respond to this. There are a pretty good number of Hussars here, so it might be something that he can handle, but there's still some good Musketeer anti-cav. The sentries still have a little bit of hit points as well, and some other Chinese cav and disciples to block. So it will really come down to how well Soldier is able to maintain a cavalry force after.
Oh, but 6 months popping out from the outpost.
Yeah.
It's going to give him a very good surround, and this is going to be a very good fight for Soldier, actually.
Yeah, still quite a few Hussars alive, but still a little bit of Musketeers and anti-cav left for Lucas. I don't know if the Hussars are going to quite connect the way they wanted to, but yeah, actually the number of Juganu and Arquebusiers has kind of fallen down. Another 5 Hussars coming in, another 5 Musketeers as well. So we're just going to...
Even villagers adding some DPS from the side just to try and clean up this fight. 11 Cheng Dao coming in, going to be able to save some of those Arquebusiers. But unfortunately for Lucas, he was not able to wrestle back map control from the British. And now that British has complete reign over this middle portion of the map, and Lucas is starting to run out of gold mines and hunts and stuff like that, Soldier could be in a very commanding position with this economic lead.
Yeah, I think we have to note that Soldier is happy to take even trades. He's delighted to take even trades, and he's happy to take inefficient trades as well. For 2 reasons. The first is that he has the economic lead, so any trade that doesn't result in him losing the game is going to be oftentimes a good one. The other side of it is that Lucas has the finite number of shipments, whereas Soldier has effectively infinite capacity to continue to make units. Eventually he'll run out of hunts, but it's going to be in a while, so Soldier can make these trades inefficiently, knowing that the longer the game goes on, the harder it is for Lucas to actually take these fights. Lucas now getting another 10 Arquebusiers. He has a decent number of units now. Maybe a little bit light on anti-cav. I mean, there's a number of Changdao here, but a big pop of Hussars, like maybe another 5 or 10 Hussars added onto these 10 we see, or even 14 we see, could overwhelm that relatively small force of Changdao.
Mm-hmm. But, Lucas is not weak by any means here. He's down 40 score. But the Confucian Academy, we can't forget, it does produce flying crows every 4 minutes. So there's going to be a flying crow popping out pretty soon. And all the sheep that Lucas gathered in the Discovery Age are finally fattened and going to be providing him with a lot of additional resources to create more territorial or more forbidden armies. And, you know, the tech advantage is definitely not something to scoff at. Chinese death balls are notoriously difficult to deal with. So, you know, like, Soldier does have a lot of units, and he does have a pretty strong economy, but it only takes one fight for Lucas to get back into the game.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up. I guess if Soldier wins a fight, maybe if he crushes a fight, he'll win the game. But if he just wins a fight barely, he probably still won't win the game because China is going to be able to continuously remass as long as he has a couple of shipments left over. But if Soldier does lose a fight, it could be pretty tough for him. If it's an even trade, it's fine, but he is going to have to be careful not to die to one of these accidental Chinese death balls that are notorious for coming up.
Mm-hmm.
One flying crow is out for now. There's still not too much anti-air on Lucas's part, but he's in a good defensive position right now.
Mm-hmm. And even a few longbows coming out for Soldier. I like that decision. It's going to give him a lot more pressure from range to sort of pressure Lucas to have to engage on him rather than the other way around. And also Soldier moving out a lot of villagers to these forward hunts. Going to try and gather as much of those as he can while he has the time, and then sort of move back onto the safer resources more closer to his base. And I like the decision. So if he does lose a fight, he does have some safer resources to fall back to, while also denying Lucas a lot of resources.
Yeah, it's a really smart play to be able to just hunt on your opponent's hunts for a while, and even if you do lose map control, once your opponent gets onto the map, they're saying, oh, okay, well, there's not actually a lot of benefit to being on the map anymore because I don't have any hunts anymore. So he is going to be able to pull back if he wanted to, but I think he's got a good army right now. It might never come to the point where he needs to move his villagers back, unless he just exhausts the hunts and moves back onto his safer ones.
Mm-hmm. Even log flume coming out for a Soldier now, so just getting all of those market upgrades on top of the 64 villagers he's sitting on right now is going to be it's going to put him very far ahead economically.
Now I'm wondering, if you're a Soldier right now, is it a good idea to go for an age up? I mean, in some sense, I assume yes, of course it is, but is it better to just stop making units for a while and go for an age up, or to wait a little bit and try to make it happen a little bit more naturally and not interfere with your production too much?
Right now, while he's on Lucas's resources, I think it's probably better for him to stay in Colonial a little bit longer, especially since the gold mines are pretty far away from where his villagers are located right now. He'd have to walk quite a bit if he wanted to get some more gold. And you know, he's kind of already committed to this Colonial, so you know, he'll probably max out to like 200 population and then think about aging maybe, but not before then.
Unfortunately for him, he's not really in a position to age just yet. He doesn't really have a lot of gold and not a lot of villagers on gold. Still, that means that he does have a lot of mines still available to him. He's only just started this mine up at the top side of the map, and one of the mines that is basically in his base. He hasn't really put too much of a dent in either. I like how he's actually spread out villagers across kind of all of his mines. It means he doesn't have to walk around too much. There's never going to be a period of time where his gold income flatlines. Even if one mine runs out, he'll still have most of his mines available.
Mm-hmm. Alright, looks like it's going to be go time for Lucas. 9 Manchu coming in to reinforce that army and defend that Flying Crow. He's going to have a second Flying Crow popping out probably within the next 30 seconds or so as well. So this is definitely going to be the time to go. Stagecoach even coming in for Soldier 2 actually behind this.
Soldier getting a pop of pikes out, which maybe isn't really what he needs because there's almost no cavalry out, and all the cavalry that Lucas does have is range cavalry anyway. I would like to see more hussars in this composition, and maybe some more of the lumbermen too. Unfortunately for Soldier, Lucas does have the right composition, and he just doesn't have that many units.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, though, Soldier is actually max population, so he has no reason not to fight here right now.
Yeah, that's true.
Any trade he takes is just going to be replaced by additional units pretty quickly. Rax does go down, though, dropping 2 more Raxes in the back while this fight goes on. Not going to have a whole lot of reinforcements during this fight. And, you know, Hussar's trying to flank, but they can't really get in there with the Manners blocking and the trading post line and the Manchus on the right side. So this is actually going to be a really nice fight for Lucas.
Yeah, taking down about 40 population of soldiers, or probably actually even more. Soldier is going to have to pull back, but he does have good production. He does a lot of resources stocked up, so he's going to be able to remax eventually and take another fight. He's not out of it yet, but Lucas didn't really lose a lot of his naval troops. His flying crows, of which there are now 2, are still up. He's still got most of his arquebusiers and most of his Manchuria still up. He really only lost Chang'dao for that, and that's kind of the weaker unit of the arquebusier Chang'dao.
And 5 Huss popping out from the stable, gonna get onto both of the flying crows there. Really nice pickup for Soldier, and that might be just enough to get to repel this Chinese army.
Yeah, I didn't notice that both flying crows actually go down, so that's pretty important. Not many longbowmen left, but I think he may just be able to overwhelm by sheer numbers.
More longbows popping out from the Raxes in the back. It's going to be a close one, but I think Soldier's probably going to be able to stabilize here. And, you know, if he does manage to stabilize here, Lucas does not have a lot of resources to gather from moving forward. 5 meteor hammers coming in.
Yeah, Soldier has to be... I mean, he's actually down in popular Lucas right now, but I think he can still continuously make more units. He's still got, let's see, 1 stable, 2 barracks, I think is what he's got. He maybe has another production building hiding somewhere. A bit of an interesting thing going on the top of the map where Soldier was raiding with pikemen, but then Lucas sends in some repentant ninja to deal with the raid. So 9 ninja coming in for Lucas right now onto the map. Soldier, meanwhile, taking 4 fights. Unfortunately, he's got some meteor conditions. It's never something that even can happen. 5 buzzers popping out. Still a lot of longer over on this side of the map. And he might be able to
the ninja.
Ninjas even have bonuses against. Nothing that...
mercenaries and heroes, but their base stats are still insanely high.
Yeah, that's actually
with 440 HP, you know, really high speed and 20 base damage. They actually do insane damage, and that's gonna be more than enough to clean up Soldier's army, it looks like. But at the same time, all the arquebusiers are going down. Ninja might actually not quite be enough here.
Yeah, are they?
And yeah, 5 more Hussar popping.
So longbowmen do actually get a bonus against ninjas, although they kind of work as both, like, I guess, coyote runners and heavy infantry, like a cross between the two. But yeah, I think Soldier is able to clean this one up, even with the ninjas.
And you know, Soldier's already gathered all of China's hunts and some of his gold mines. He doesn't really have any resources to gather from with those villagers anymore. The last hunt is down here in Soldier's territory, and it's kind of forcing him to train these ninjas. And while ninjas do have very high stats, they are also pretty expensive units, costing 200 coin each, and taking quite a long time to train out of just a single monastery. So, yeah, it looks like Soldier is now going to be in a pretty commanding position. Almost a 40 villager lead, along with almost double the military population. And mill transition has been pretty much fully completed for Soldier as well. So it's going to be pretty tough for Lucas to come back from this, even building rice paddies of his own at home.
Yeah, Soldier even has a couple of hunts left over that he can safely go to, and he still has plenty of mines available to him, so he made the transition to mills pretty successfully. Lucas, meanwhile, he's gathering a lot of wood because that's pretty much the only thing he can gather safely at this point. I don't think he really has a safe mine either. Maybe this, well, he's got, okay, so he's got 1 mine that's pretty much out, and then 1 mine that's relatively safe, but if Soldier really wanted to deny it, he could. And so he's going to need to spend a lot of time just transitioning onto the rice paddies, but that's something that Soldier's going to be pretty happy about, I'm going to say.
Yeah, we have to remember too that on top of the economy here, Soldier's actually even advancing to H3 finally. But on top of this, Soldier does still have 2 stagecoach trading posts as well, which is going to be helping him a little bit. And Lucas, I guess realizing just how far behind economically he is going for something a little bit crazy that could potentially pay off later. He's going to be dropping 2 docks and spamming as many boats as he physically can, and just hoping he has enough time to get away with that.
Yeah, this might be the only thing or the best possible way for him to catch back up economically. It's going to be hard, certainly. I mean, it's a 40 villager deficit, but he's not. Any villagers he makes are just going to go onto rice paddies anyway, which is never something great to do. So getting onto slightly more lucrative fields, like onto the fish or onto the whales, even though it's expensive, it is a way for him to gather safely.
He's basically saying, I'm going to sacrifice any type of military advantage I might have in hopes that you'll somehow give me enough time to get myself back into the game economically. But yeah, Soldier kind of seeing it how few units Lucas has. I think he's just going to bring the longbows in and try to close out the game.
Yeah, longbow been killing the flying crow. I got 1 or 2 good shots off, but it's not going to be enough. Last attack from the ninjas going in, but this should be going in fairly soon. And Soldier hitting up into H3 right about now.
You know, the ninja actually are getting a pretty good trade onto these longbows and hussars, but Soldier's just so far ahead economically that, you know, he could lose that whole army and not really care. And while Lucas loses even a few units, he has to like think about replacing them instead of investing into closing that economic gap.
Yeah, and Soldier, he knows what's up and has made a caravel, or rather aged up with a caravel. So fortunately, it's going to be really hard for Lucas to continue to hunt or to gather fish on this side.
Yeah, I think that caravel is going to extinguish any hope Lucas had of getting back into this game economically, unfortunately.
A little bit of slight banter between the players. I think Soldier's starting to question what Lucas is up to. Seems like he's pretty convinced that he's got this game under control. But Lucas, you know, he's not.
Like winning, obviously. I like the confidence. You know, you gotta keep your opponent on his toes. But then comes to resign.
Yeah. Well, it was entertaining to see him go over it, but I think he knew that there wasn't a serious chance of him winning after in the last few minutes of that game. He did have
it was a
good. I mean, there were some very scary moments for Soldier there. Definitely a lot of great.
That big.
Stuck. Yeah.
That big fight under his production buildings could have gone very differently if he hadn't managed to pick off those 2 flying crows. It's definitely a very very close situation for Soldier to be fighting a huge Chinese death ball in Colonial, but you know, at the end of the day, his economy was just too good for Lucas to really compete with, and yeah, manages to pull out the win to take a 2-1 advantage against Lucas here.
So yeah, we can see actually on the villager population how drastic the effect of the Soldier's economy was. There's a huge amount of area between these 2 villager counts, and all of that time that Soldier's spending gathering is going into resources that he can make huge numbers of units with. Means that any trade he takes is one that he's going to be pretty happy to take, because he's always getting the better out of it after you factor in the economy. And eventually it's just too much for Lucas to handle. So, game 4, I think Soldier is now first pick.
He is indeed, and civilizations have also reset, so anything goes. The next map is going to be High Plains, so we could potentially see some of that intense trading post action that people like to fight over whether or not it should be allowed to be a thing on any map. But you know, I love maps like High Plains actually. Like maps where both players are trying to contest the TP line really lead to a lot of exciting games with units all over the map, and I kind of hope that they pick something that likes to go for the TP line.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect Soldier to pick out Germans eventually in this series. Maybe he'll want to go for British again. I know neither civ is too heavy on the trading posts. Not that they can't take trading posts at all, but they usually don't take a lot of them. Lucas, meanwhile, I don't know exactly how his civ pool works, but I can see him going for one that enjoys trading posts. It looks like SoldieR saying it's time, picking the Germans out.
He is going to bring out his signature civ finally. And let's see what Luke's response to this is. I kind of expected to pick something like India, maybe.
Oh,
ooh, Japan.
Okay. I like that pick. I'm a big fan of Japan.
Yeah, and I think Germany is not, like Germany obviously is a pretty strong civilization,
Yeah.
but Japan is kind of one of those civs that does better against Germany than other civs, just because Germany doesn't like to stay in the colonial age, they like to, do more of these semi-FF style builds, and going fortress that early against Japan without really applying a lot of pressure in colonial can sometimes let Japan get away with a lot of booming and upgrading their military units and stuff like that, to the point that it almost gets out of control. And if you lose even one fight or take like a slightly bad trade against Japan as Germany, it can be very, very hard to get back into the game.
Yeah. I guess with Germans, they're a civ that doesn't like to play an H2 too much. It's not that they can't, but it's something that they often won't do if they can go for an FF instead. But Japan is a civ that is most happy when their opponent isn't applying pressure to them. They scale so well to the late game, but have to compensate for that by having a very weak early game. But if their opponent's not putting too much pressure onto them early game, then that's something they're happy to do. It means that there is timing for Germans where they've hit H3, they have several unit shipments coming in, and they're able to put down some pressure onto the Japanese. That is before Japan has quite gotten to the scaling point that they want. But you have to be very careful about how you manage that timing to make sure that you win it.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking about how much Germany likes to go fortress, even in this matchup. But this is SoldieR we're talking about, and SoldieR, he's not one to shy away from colonial play with Germany, so he could surprise us. Just gonna check the hunts real quick. Looks like Lucas does have some more hunts on his side of the map.
Yeah, Lucas does have an extra one, I think. I'm gonna check the mines as well. The mines are roughly even, but actually maybe slightly better for Lucas as well. It's hard to tell in this case.
Yeah, I'd say Lucas does have a slight advantage with the hunts.
Okay.
At the same time, you have to remember that this is High Plains, and the second bison hunts, third bison hunts are massive and provide food for so long. And then on top of that, you also have the access to Cheyenne posts later in the game. So maybe a hunt deficit isn't so bad, but we can ask them if they want to do a restart anyway. SoldieR did get a trading post start. Maybe he'll want to just keep the game as is.
I'll just let them know if they want. Okay.
All right.
Some of these cases, they are a little bit borderline, but I think SoldieR was clearly missing one hunt here, and it's probably better to just go for the restart rather than have to worry about it later.
Part of the risk with taking a restart on this, though, is he might not get a wood start again, and it's debatable whether or not that additional hunt is going to be worth losing out on the early game TP. So we'll have to see what the crates look like, but hopefully the map ends up being more balanced this time around.
So what's the probability, you think, of SoldieR just going for this in Colonial?
About 75%.
Yeah, that's sounds accurate. I think colonial play versus Japan as Germany is how I used to do it. Lately, I've been doing more of like a semi-fast industrial. Of course, this is in the captain meta, so it's not quite the top tier of competitive play here. I found both to be fairly effective, um, but I would definitely not be surprised if Soldier goes for the colonial play in this one. That's kind of what he's known for.
Mhm. Okay, Hunt's looking a little bit better this time around, I think.
Yeah. They've both got
Looks
four
like
close hunts. Soldiers are behind. Oh wait, did one disappear?
those were the invisible tappers
Yeah.
for the observers.
Okay.
It does look like Soldier's at a bit of a disadvantage
Yeah,
again.
I think we're gonna have to call Re again. Yeah, but I think this one is worse than the previous one, and so if we were gonna call Re on
Yeah.
the previous one, I don't think we can say that this one is okay either.
He did have a wood start again, though. How long until he doesn't have a wood start? I think if I were playing on that map, I would definitely just take the wood start over the additional hunt personally. Like the hunts on this map last you so long that I feel like the early game advantage is more important than the like hunt that's going to be relevant at 15 minutes maybe. But to each his own. It is in his right to. It is sorry. It is within his right to take a restart on those types of spawns. So this one looks much better, I think.
Yeah, I mean the hunts are still maybe slightly in Lucas's favor, but I think Soldier has three really big hunts that are all pretty close to his town center, and I think that makes it reasonable for him. He didn't get a wood start, so
That's
too bad for him,
unfortunate.
but yeah.
But both players also do have, looks like, about 4 mines on their side, and there's about 4 mines just in the middle,
Yeah.
sort of close to either-ish side, so looks pretty good this time around. Unfortunately, no wood start for Germans this game, but, you'll have to be content with the additional resources he gets out of restarting.
So up here in the top right side of the map, we have IAmSoldieR currently leading 2-1, playing the German civilization. And down here in the southwestern side of the map, we have Lucas L99 playing the Japanese, down 1-2 in this series, but looking to make a comeback.
Mm-hmm. Also, one important thing to note, I guess, is sure, German doesn't get a wood start this time either, which means no trading post, but Japan also tends to like the wood start just as much, if not more, than Germany. So not going to be too much of a disadvantage, I suppose, since Japan will be aging quite a bit more slowly because of that.
Taking a quick look at the treasures on this map, we do see 130 food at the very top over here, as well as one settler guarded by 5 walls over on this side. I'm going to say those are the 2 best treasures on this map. There's a couple of other decent ones maybe, like an Iroquois Scout or some various XP treasures. And actually this 80 wood treasure that we're just currently gathering. But I'm wondering if either player is going to know this. I know Soldier just ran just a little bit past this 130 food treasure, but it looks like he might be getting into, and he's going to be noticing the settler treasure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a very strong treasure as well. So good treasures on both sides, looks like, going to be coming around this time.
Looking at the decks, I notice already we can see some indication of what Lucas is going to be going for. He does not have 2 villagers in his deck, and he does have Heavenly Kami. And so, of course, he's going to be sending Heavenly Kami first. This is something that I think it used to be kind of common wisdom that you'd send Heavenly Kami first to Japan. But lately that's been getting called into question a lot by a lot of different players who are saying, 2 villagers is often better, or 3 boats is often better than sending a Kami. In this case, Lucas looks like he's, at least for now, opting on the Kami side. I think the hunts on this map are so good that it's a map where you can do a lot of you can just build a ton of shrines and have them be very hard to take down. So
on top of also starting with 2 orchards as opposed to 1 orchard and a second gold mine in your base as well, you don't need to leave your base for a very long time. So all of that put together means that you have a lot more time and a lot more hunts to invest into those shrines. So good decision from Lucas on this map, I think.
Yeah, Soldier picking up that villager, Lucas using the extra 80 wood he got to make a second shrine. I think Soldier's going to be, well, okay, it looks like he's not going to be aging up too soon, but I'm wondering now, of course, is he going to be sending villagers forward? Is he going to be playing in base? He did make a market to start with. That's interesting because I don't think he got any wood treasures, and he only had a 100 wood start, so he had to chop a lot to get that.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the decision. He's not going to be aging up too late because that looks like he might have had a few seconds of idle time.
Yeah.
But it is going to speed him up in transition a lot. I often do this with Germany as well when I play, and I believe players like Kaiser Klein as well, where you do either a trading post or a market beginning of the game no matter what, and that way you can get the other one more easily in transition.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, sometimes it slows you down by a few seconds, but often the early to mid colonial advantage is worth it. So I like that decision. Gang Saw coming out for Soldier, which might be some indication of H2 intentions. We'll have to wait and see. Also picking up this Tomahawk treasure, which will help him get a head start on sieging some shrines or defending some forward base villagers if he chooses to send any forward. Looks like he is actually choosing to send a forward villager now, so going to be seeing a little bit of the unorthodox style of Germans from Soldier.
Yeah, interestingly, only one. I'm a bit surprised about that decision. Is that very common to see out of Soldier to only send one villager forward? Going with the outpost as well. So
Ooh, a tower rush.
Seeing a tower rush, yeah. Can he make a tower in time? I actually don't know if.
Yes, I think he can.
Okay.
I believe it takes a villager close to 60 seconds or maybe 45 seconds, something like that, to construct an outpost. So he started at almost 20 seconds before he started aging, so it should go up just in time. And yeah, Lucas has no indication of a tower rush just yet. So this could potentially do a lot of damage. He is going to walk dangerously close. Nope, not going to walk towards the outpost, actually. So
Lucas looks like he's making a trading post of his own. Soldier just finished up one of his. So yeah, Lucas, starting with his trading post, indicates that he wants to play somewhat economically. I think he started with Kami. He's been making a lot of shrines. I think he's feeling somewhat secure. He does have the barracks going up, so he's not thinking that he's fully out of danger right now. But Soldier's shipping this 8 crossbowmen. Great timing, by the way, on getting the outpost up before, basically sending the crossbowman shipment before he actually finishes the outpost, knowing that he'll get the crossbowmen right on time and being able to put down pressure.
Mm-hmm. And also just sending his Uhlans out to sort of deny some of this shrine boom from Lucas is going to deny at least one shrine. He might even have noticed that the other monk was walking next to his base, so might be able to deny that shortly. So crossbow's not doing a whole lot here yet, except maybe making Lucas think twice about any sort of super boomy playstyle.
Yeah, we can see Lucas putting up a market right here. Great positioning just to seal off this pathway from Uhlans, because he knows that a lot of Uhlans are going to be coming in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even snaring with the Yuumi there. So just going to force a little bit of idle time and trade with some of these Yuumi. And, this is a pretty good trade for Soldier overall, I think, as long as he doesn't stay too long or get caught by Minutemen or anything like that. It's just going to prevent Lucas from getting any sort of mass of units. While also getting some idle time down. And behind this, he's doing a good job of watching the hunts with his free Uhlans and just making sure that Lucas doesn't have a free time shrining. So So some pretty good calculated aggression from Soldier.
Yeah, I think that Soldier's definitely happy to be taking these very small trades. As long as he's not, or rather, I think Japan, if they're able to get a good mass of Yumi, it's going to be really hard to manage it with just crossbowmen alone, or even just crossbows and Ulans. If the Yumi are in a good defensive position with maybe a little bit of anti-cav, it would be really hard to bust in. When he's taking these small trades like this, he's keeping the unit counts low on both sides, which means that it's a lot easier for Ulans to path in and deal with Yumi. It's a lot easier to take very small, good trades, and so he's keeping the game on his terms by making all these small trades like this. Even getting a little bit of damage down on shrines, and yeah, keeping a lot of pressure on Lucas right now.
And it's paid off for him already. He already forced the 5 Yumi shipment out. And one thing to note too is when you're taking all these small skirmishes, it does mean that later in Colonial, Japan will have to think twice about sending unit upgrades when they would normally like to, because if you don't have a super large army, the upgrades are going to be a lot less effective. And if you can prevent Japan from upgrading those units, that means that Germany's lack of unit upgrades themselves is not going to be as much of a weakness as it normally would be.
So Lucas did build up a bit of an army here. He got a 4 Ashi pop, another 3 Ashis, and got the Bestero shipment coming in, plus the 5 Yumi, of course. He's feeling a little bit safe, and you can see that Emilmai in this 4 villager card. Soldier, meanwhile, transitioning from his early 8 crossbowman aggression into a more economic 3 settler wagon, and especially more typical 3 settler wagon, 700 wood. I don't know if he'll want to follow this up with an age 3. It doesn't look like he's really in position to do that, but it looks like right now he's content to just take some damage down on these shrines, keep pressuring Lucas economically, even if it's not directly in his base.
And looks like even some Ashi coming out on the side to defend some of the shrines, and maybe also apply some counter raids of their own after those shrines have been defended. So good decision from Lucas. Interestingly enough, I didn't notice this earlier, but Lucas added a trading post into his build at some point.
Yeah, it was early H2 he did this.
So that's going to give him a little bit more flexibility with how he adapts his builds into soldiers' decisions. Yeah. And yeah, Ashi coming in on the side here might pick off a couple of vills on this wood line here.
These are upgraded with Greatcoat, but I think, okay. Apparently 9 Ashi kill a villager, not 8. Getting 1 vill there, you might get that second. Probably going to have a hard time getting back to the town center. And one great thing that Lucas is doing is that it's pushing Soldier all the way back, right? All of these crossbowmen are back, all of these Ulans are back. He might get this pick off on these 8 Ashi, but even so, it's allowing Lucas a little bit more breathing room, able to push out onto the map, maybe deal with some of these raids that are going down on the shrines. And at the very least, I mean, this army is so powerful from Soldier right now that it's keeping the units out of Lucas's base and letting him gather freely.
It's going to be buying him a lot of time, forcing a lot of idle time as well. And behind this, Lucas is starting to mass some Nagi, which can be pretty difficult for Germany to deal with the longer Colonial goes, as Ulans are quite a bit weaker now, and you don't really want to mix in cavalry as much. So yeah, definitely going to be good for Lucas. Also finally cleaning up the Ulan that was babysitting the hunt on the left side of his base here, so finally be able to get a couple more shrines up.
Yeah, he's going to need those shrines, unfortunately, because currently he is sitting at 77 out of 60 population. So these 2 shrines are just getting him back up to the number where he can start making things again. And I'll probably actually need to make a couple more shrines over on this right side where there's 3 very nice hunts available to him.
Yeah, but you know, Soldier's actually managing to keep up in eco despite everything. He's doing a good job of cleaning up shrines and denying with the Zolans. And he still has more than double the military population of Lucas here. And
yeah, his military is massive right now. Like, his macro's been just... he's filling a little bit of food, but otherwise his macro is completely on point this game. He's got this huge army coming in. And
it looks like he's going to choose just the right time to go in. More crossbows are sieging up top. But I think he could maybe take this fight even without all of those extra units. And with the barracks out front here, Lucas has to be careful with how he chooses to defend this, because if that Rax goes down, he's not going to have a whole lot of options in how he chooses to diversify his unit composition against this.
So Lucas trying to go for the smaller army, but looks like he's pulling back. I think he has to be careful of getting sandwiched between these two very large armies from Soldier. I think either one of these armies is almost a match. Certainly this army in the base is a match for what Lucas has, and the other army is getting close to that too. So he had to be careful not to take a fight that he might not be able to get out of. Daimyo did come in for Lucas, and that is going to help him scale a little bit better. He does have the advantage of having really strong units, all these Japanese units, the Ashi and Yumi. They get really good in Age 3 and Age 4, but even now with just a couple of upgrades, they can still be a match for German units, which are relatively weak in Age 2.
Yeah, and looks like the second army is finally walked around the cliffs and is going to be rejoining the main army now, and that's going to be go time for Soldier. Lucas is going to have to find some way to try and deal with this massive army. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He's almost out of orchards, too. He's sitting on just over 1,000 food left in those orchards. And once those are gone, he's going to have to send orchards. Instead of unit upgrades, it's going to make dealing with this army even more difficult and give Soldier an even larger window here to attack. So
this army from Soldier is just massive. It's incredibly large. He basically hasn't gathered any gold in this game, purely on food and wood. I think only gathered gold for upgrades and shipped all the Ulans instead. And so I think Soldier's going to come in and really have an easy time dealing with this army. And unfortunately for Lucas, the next shipment he's going to have to send is, if it's not cherry orchard this one, it's cherry orchard in the next one, or else he's not going to be able to gather any food at all. So
yeah, but it looks like he might not even have time to think about cherry orchards. Soldier's pretty much cleaned up the Japanese army here. And 10 more pikemen reinforcing from the back, and that's going to be the game for Lucas. Very clean game from Soldier. Played that very nicely with the way he denied the shrines with his free Ulans and traded all of his units early on to prevent the critical mass of Yumi from ever becoming a thing.
Yeah, pretty much demonstrated how you might play this matchup out in Germans versus Japanese in Colonial. Coming in with the early aggression, Tower Rush was maybe something atypical, but even so, Tower Rush doing a lot of work. Getting early aggression down, keeping the Yumi count small early on, following it up by clearing out all the shrines, keeping Lucas's economy small, and then massing up a huge number of crossbow and pike. Not really bothering to gather gold at all, just mostly going with that crossbow pike composition, and then coming in with a much larger army that Lucas isn't quite able to be ready for.
Yeah, very, very nicely played by Soldier, and a good series from him overall. And so he will be advancing to the round of 16.
Yeah. I don't know who he's scheduled to play against in the round of 16. It's probably not decided yet, but he will be. It's probably going to be the winner of some other series. Regardless, Lucas showed some really strong promise in this series. I think he did win the game in the Aztec Mirror, and he showed, I think, really wonderful Aztec play during the entire thing, keeping Soldier contained within his base the entire time. And even in the China game, had a very close opportunity a couple of times. Even in this game, I think, had some chances, although it did seem like in this game in particular, Soldier was running a very strong build that Lucas would have a hard time dealing with, even if he was playing just perfectly the entire way through. So we certainly will be seeing more of him. He's unfortunately eliminated from the current tournament, but we'll be seeing him probably in the next one. Maybe even second chance if he wants to sign up for that one.
Or maybe in some future treaty tournaments.
Oh yeah, maybe in future treaty tournaments as well. Speaking of second chance, it's time, I think, for the plugs. We've been doing a couple plugs during the streams today, but we're going to do one more since it's going to be the end of it for us tonight. Of course, we'll be back next week and possibly during the week as well. The plugs we have to go over are the Second Chance Tournament, which you can currently sign up for on esocommunity.net. We've got about 40 players, I think, signed up currently, but there are some slots left open. Anybody who's been eliminated, I believe, before the round of 32 or in the round of 32 is eligible to sign up, and it's always wonderful to see you playing it. Betting is opened by Goodspeed. That's an opportunity for you to win some money or to have a lot of fun. So just go onto esocommunity.net, find the thread about the betting. It's probably on the sidebar. It's one that's very popular. And just say that you're in, and Goodspeed will send you a private message with all the things you need. I think the last plug I need to make is to always ask for some donations. Of course, the ESOC tournaments are community funded. We're always happy to receive donations to continue to fund these tournaments. The current tournament is fully funded with the $1,500, $1,600 prize pool. We've been getting a few donations over the course of the day and yesterday and last weekend, and we always appreciate it a lot when you do these donations or when you make your subscription to ESOC TV, which we were recently approved for. Any other plugs, Mitoe? Happy birthday.
Yes, it is indeed my birthday, as it is every day.
Yes.
I think that's pretty much it for today.